Hello everyone, this is Lisa with Grace and Old Paper. I come to you today with another completed junk journal. I did not do any craft with me videos this time again. At this current point in time, I'm finding it easier and better for me to just craft kind of at my leisure and craft while I'm watching stuff on my iPad or Skyping with my daughter or just listening to music. It's just much easier for me right now, so I'm enjoying crafting again, and that's a big thing for me because I stepped away from it for quite a while. Anyway, this is at its heart a vintage circus themed junk journal. It is also, I made this with if you watched my last video, you saw that I made a K-pop related junk journal geared toward the group I like, which is Stray Kids. And I made this because of a Stray Kids song. They made a song called Circus, and it got my brain to thinking. And because they used a lot of vintage elements, vintage circus elements in their music video, it really made me think about vintage circus, and that just got me started. So if you follow me on Twitter, and the only reason I'm on Twitter is for Stray Kids. I follow people that are fans of theirs, and we, talk about what they're doing and their schedules and, all that kind of stuff, and talk about their music and that kind of thing. So if you follow me there, you know that I have been very excited about this book, and I have posted a couple of pictures, and I've just been very excited about it. So this is my Stray Kids, but not Stray Kids, vintage circus themed journal. That was a mouthful. This book is approximately, it's almost 9 inches. It's 8 3/4 by almost 6, and the thickness is about an inch and a half thick. It is a hidden hollow back spine. You can see that I made this the hidden hollow back spine in there. I have, because this was an older book, it was called Devil Water, I believe. I think I got it at in the free bin at Second and Charles, or at a thrift store, probably for $1 or $2. But it was a bit spongy, I guess, on the edges, so I have reinforced that. It is very secure and stable now. Reinforced it from the inside very well. Rebuilt the new spine. Totally gutted it and rebuilt it. I have made also, and I didn't do this for my last journal, but if she's watching this video and she wants one, let me know. I have made a spine dangle for this one, a spine charm, whatever you can call it, spine dangle. And it is full of just all kinds of laces and ribbons, pearls. There are a lot of little charms in here. This one is actually on there with an aged safety pin. There's beads, a lot of vintage looking beads. And those all came from necklaces that I tore apart. Maybe found them at the thrift store, or there were broken necklaces, that kind of thing. This one I made myself out of some bits and pieces of random pieces of jewelry. So, and like I said, this is removable, so if you don't like it on there, and it makes it more difficult to work, so while you're working in your journal, you can just remove it. So there is that. This also has a ribbon closure to help keep it closed. I have worked really hard and really worked really hard on the aesthetics of the edges of the papers. I was watching one of my favorite junk journal ladies lately, Miss Catherine at Sunnyside Journals, and she had done one that she really had it was really interesting looking on the edges, and that's the way I wanted this to look. My youngest daughter had a very good explanation of this book, and I liked it. And I'm probably paraphrasing a bit here, but she said, imagine if you were at your great-grandmother's house and you went rooting through her attic, found her trunk, and found her old scrapbook from when she used to be in the circus. That's the feeling I wanted this to have. And so the edges, you can see, have different things poking out of them, because when they used to make scrapbooks, I think they stuck in things everywhere, all kinds of memorabilia, just all kinds of things. So it has all these different things poking out. In the bottom as well, just a little bit, not much, because you want to be able to sit it on a shelf if you want to. So there's a few pieces of thread hanging out, little bits of lace. So if you don't like the thread hanging out, just snip them off. It won't hurt a thing. These edges I'm particularly proud of. There are probably 3 different kinds of lace in here. There's tags poking out, this little jewelry charm, there's threads, this little ticket tab, this little lace, fabric tab. You can also see different page colors, and then you can see some of these pages have these torn and burnished edges. I love the aged look of that. The front had a logo on it, so I needed to cover it up. And I had this image in a book I had. It was gosh, I can't even remember what book. I think it was a book about collections, and I think there was a circus collection in there or something. So it was a vintage circus ad, and I thought that was absolutely perfect. And so I have put it on the cover. I have Mod Podged over it to protect it, since it was just a paper ad. These ribbons are firmly attached in, glued in, so you shouldn't have to worry about them. The inside, because I made my own hidden hollowback spine, and you can see that there are 5 signatures, signature being a group of papers. So there are 5 signatures in here, all hand sewn into this new hidden hollowback spine. The fabric I chose to cover everything was a man's shirt, and I found it at the thrift store, and I tea-dyed it to give it that aged look, and I absolutely love it. This is just a huge piece of fabric I had. I think I was given it in Happy Mail, and lace, and I thought it made a beautiful pocket. So I've just put a couple of tags in there. This one was from a scrapbook pack I had. I backed it with some onion skin paper, kind of aged it a bit looking, because I don't like the white back on scrapbook papers. It didn't fit with this journal, so that gives it kind of an aged look. This tag I made myself out of a file folder. I've aged it, and some tea-dyed music paper, just a little border snippet my daughter found for me. And then this came from a printable that I purchased from Etsy that included a lot of these little elements in it, and I kind of fussy cut them and put them on there. I thought they were cool. If you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen this page because I was really proud of it. I thought it turned out really well. This came from the printable, but I aged it up with my distress inks, as well as the edges of these and this. Distress inks, if you don't know, they are some inks you buy that help you age the edges to make it, so it doesn't look just like some piece of cardstock you cut out. My daughter did that for me, and this is just a tea-dyed paper doily, and this is scrapbook paper. Because, and I stuck this lace border on, because scrapbook paper has white background, I adhered some onion skin paper on there. It's vintage onion skin paper, so it is photo safe. This is a border that came out of a scrapbook paper pack I had, and I sewed the lace to it and then glued it to the paper, so I wasn't sewing through the paper. Again, with the threads, if you don't like them, just snip them off. I have backstitched so it is secure on there. This is tea-dyed paper that came out of a journal. And you can see where I tore the edges and then burnished it with my inks. I included some, that is washi tape. I included some vintage ledger in here. And this is vintage naturally aged, so it is photo safe. This is tea-dyed music paper, so not photo safe. If you purchase this, because this is going to be for sale, if you purchase this from me, I will include a ledger, a key on how, a note on which pages are photo safe and which are not. Excuse me stumbling over my words today. This is an envelope that I adhered to the page, making this a pocket. This came out of that same book that the cover came out of. And it's just on some file folder. So that makes a little pocket. And you can put stuff in the envelope. You can put mementos or photos or whatever you want to put in there. If you use the tea-dyed paper for photos, just make sure you get a piece of scrapbook paper and back your photo with it. Just, you can either have it sticking out of your photo. Let me see some. If you had scrapbook paper and you had a photo, say, you could, you know, have it on the scrapbook paper and have a border around it, or you could completely just cover it up and just back it, whichever you wanted to do. But just as long as you have scrapbook paper backing on the photo, on the tea-dyed paper, you're fine. But you can write on any of this. This is kind of my only nod to modern stuff here. This is dot grid journal paper. I included in there because everybody likes, you know, writing and doodling on the dot grid stuff. It's fun. This is scrapbook paper. I did cover the back with sewing pattern tissue because, like I said, I don't like the white background. And that should be photo safe. Tea-dyed paper with hand-torn edges and been burnished with the inks. This is a photocopy of an image out of that same book I had about circuses. And I didn't like the way the paper was doing in here. It wouldn't lay flat. It kept wanting to curl. So I just made it pockets. And I made this tag to go in there. This was from the printable I had. I just thought they were funny looking. And this is actually on, this is the back of a paperback, an old paperback that was, I think, in the free bin, Second Charles. So, you know, it was just a step away from going to the dump. But it's naturally aged, and I love the way that looks. So that slips right in there. This is a tea-dyed envelope with some washi tape on it for embellishment. I did that really because when I tea-dyed it, it kind of messed the edge up a little bit, so I had to reinforce it. But, you know, you can put anything you want in there. You can actually take these out and put whatever you want in there. That, you know, that's fine too. These are the other halves. This is a piece of lace I had, and I have put it onto another piece of the back of a paperback. And I just love the aged look underneath there. I think it's really, really pretty. I stitched the lace onto the cardstock to adhere it. I did all my stitching in here with black thread. I like the way it stands out, so you really notice it. And it has more of a, I don't know, kind of a random look to it that I like. It's not matchy-matchy, you know. This is just a piece of scrapbook paper that I made into a little thing with some tea-dyed papers for you to journal in if you want, or you can get rid of it. That's fine too. Again, if you don't like the threads, just cut them off. More ledger paper. This piece right here actually came from the original book. It was the border on the flyleaf. The flyleaf is the first page in the book. and it was on there, and I really liked it, and I thought it went with the aesthetics of the book, so I included it in there. Thought it was really cool. This is a piece of paper my daughter made for me. I thought it was really neat. It looked like a circus big top. If you're, I mean, this is circus themed. Show starts with a bang. But adding the additional 2 bangs on there, if you are Stray Kids fans, you know, that's a lyric. That's a line from the lyrics. Show starts with a bang, bang, bang. Because I hand stamp every one of these little letters themselves. There's a story with that. It didn't work out perfect, but I kind of like the rustic look of it. It worked out. This is onion skin paper, vintage, so it's naturally aged. It's not stark white. This is some ledger paper that I tea dyed. This is scrapbook paper. The back of it, this is also sewing pattern tissue. Sewing pattern tissue has come in many colors over the years, many varying shades of beige to this yellowish. So I have a little selection of them, you know, patterns that I've gotten from thrift stores, and that don't have everything in them, and I just, you know, have a collection of it. This is a printable, part of that Etsy printable. This came from the magazine, the book I had, and I put that on file folder, and my daughter sent me that. So those are in there. This is some of the paper my daughter made for me, and it's on, I printed it on some ivory colored paper that I think it was resume paper. Steno book. Honestly, have no idea where I got this paper, but I love it. And I just adhered this little tab up there. And it's backed with onion skin paper. This center section here, and you notice too, because this being a hidden hollow back spine, it's able to float, so you can lay the pages down easier for journaling. This paper doily, which is tea dyed, I decided to make into pockets. I don't know why, I just decided to. So it is glued carefully here and here. And as long as you're gentle with the paper doily, it works out fine. These are printables from the Etsy thing I did. And so I have just, it's good journaling space. And because this is just cardstock, you can adhere a photo to the back of it if you'd like, or some other memento. So that goes in there, and then there's this one as well. Again, same thing. You can put whatever you want on the back of it. These are just the backs of the other half of the pages. This page, because the paper that I used was not quite wide enough for this book, I had to extend it. So I just did some brown paper. This came from a takeout from a restaurant. And then I had this page border sticker that I adhered to it, and then I adhered this lace. It's a crocheted lace. And then I just put this little aged safety pin on there with a couple of beads, just because I thought it was cool. Again, paper my daughter made for me. This is a aged paper clip. It looks all rusted. I actually aged this myself quite a while back, so I cannot tell you how I did it. I followed a tutorial from YouTube. But it has got a little fabric bit on there, and it is holding this little thing. When my daughter first sent me my papers, a lot of the papers I used, I accidentally printed the whole layout of the whole, it wasn't a layout, it was a preview of all of them. I accidentally printed it out. So it printed out like this, and I thought, well, that kind of made a cool little thing. So it's on some cardstock as well. It is photo safe, but it's a very small thing, so I don't know. You could put a little photo in there, or some other little memorabilia, or take it out. That works too. More of the ledger paper, steno paper. This came from that same book that I had. And I really loved the vintage Circus thing of it. I just really thought it was cool, so I copied it and put it in here. And I don't know if you can tell, this paper has it's not a texture, but it's a visual texture. How about that? It's really unusual. This is a border that my daughter made for me. This is a printable from the Etsy purchase. This I made myself with the brown paper. These corners my daughter made for me. I gotta make sure I'm on the screen. My daughter made these for me, and this little card actually pops out, and I made it the same exact size as a photo card. This is the leader of Stray Kids. Came from the Maxident album, and it is the same size, so that will fit in there if you choose to. Get that back in there. I'll put that back in later. More of the dot grid stuff, and I love the aged look of that. It's just so cool to me. This piece, this piece right here represents my one boo-boo in this book. This piece of music, and there was a reason why it happened, but this piece of music is actually on here, and if you read sheet music, you know this is on here upside down. It's in the book upside down, but there is a reason, I'll tell you. But I covered it up with another of my page border stickers. This is a part of the printable from Etsy, and it made an envelope, but I snipped the end off so I could put a tag in the end. This came from the printable as well. It's just on cardstock. This is where that little bead dangle is, and it just slips right in there. And I made it into a pocket up here. I made this tag myself. So the reason why it's in there upside down is because I was paying attention to the flip up where I made it a pocket. So I put this little border on here. You can see if you take out these, you can see it's upside down. My apologies. It kind of makes a funny story. But this is on here right, and this is what you see mostly. These are some more of the dot grid papers, and I just made them so that there's extra journaling in here. It's a little washi tape. This is a actual piece of vintage tape that I got out of an old photo album that I got from a thrift shop somewhere, and I have glued it on here. It just really, it looks like it's been there for a long time. I thought that was really cool. This one is just a double fold. So these just slip in this pocket. So I was really, I was thinking more of the pocket than I was the rest of the page. Hey, we're all human. We make mistakes, right? The back of it, this is part of the Etsy printable I had. I just included a piece of this agenda paper I had that I tea-dyed, grunged up a bit. And my daughter included this in her little packet of goodies she sent me. This little aged-looking popcorn thing, and I put it on some more of that, the back of a paperback book. So it has that naturally aged look, but I did distress it some. This is also part of the printable that I got, as well as this. This tag I made myself, oops, and put some ledger paper on there for journaling. This is a piece of ribbon I had that was actually black and white, and I mean a stark white. And so I just aged it with my Distress inks and left it sticking out the top a bit. This folds out, gives you extra journaling. And these are hand torn, so they are irregular, but I love the look of that. Included another one of the ticket stub things. This one is a slightly different color. Another one of the page borders from the book. It had a little something on the edge of it, so I needed to cover it with something, so that's why I put that there. But I like it, so it works out pretty good. This one, because the page wasn't long enough, I extended it and just put a piece of music there. This is where the fabric tab is. Very piece of vintage fabric I had. Looks like it's sewed on from this side, but it's not. It's sewed on to a little tiny piece of paper, and then I glued it on here. So it's on here really, really, really sturdy. And you can snip these off if you want. This is a piece of scrapbook paper I had, and the back was stark white, and you know I don't like that. So this is a piece of the printable, and I glued it on there. And it made it a pocket. So I'll just put this tag in there. You're free to replace that and put anything else in there you want to. This my daughter sent me. She's such a help. This is I made it into a photo frame. Including the plastic. This came from an old gosh, little photo album. You know those flip photo albums. And so I have used it and glued it inside here, making it a photo frame. And this was printable from the Etsy purchase, but it has the double task of being able to fit in a bigger photo card if you have one. If you happen to be a Stray Kids fan. But if not, you can leave the lady in there. Or put a photo of your choice in there. That works too. More sewing pattern tissue. The show must go on. This doily, I actually made it into, I flipped it up, made it into a pocket because it was a really big doily. You can, if you wish, adhere this with either, you know, double-sided tape or glue to the onion skin paper. But keep in mind when you do that your glue and your tape will most likely show through the other side, so you'll need to decorate this page as well if you do that, or you can just leave it like this. This actually came from a children's book I had, and I thought he was really cool. M is for musician who's leading the band. N is for his notes, which you see on the stand. The doilies, as long as you're careful with them and you know delicate putting things in and out, it won't hurt them. You just have to be careful. A little gentle coming in and out, but they're glued right here. Also, I meant to tell you, I meant to show you. Let me go back to another one. One that is a little easier to see. Yeah, here. You can see the thread stitching this in. Where I have done that. And I did that with waxed linen bookbinding thread. So it's in there really, really good. This piece of paper I had to extend as well. And I didn't like the straight edge it showed right here, so I just covered it with washi tape. But I like it. I think it's pretty. This is the other half of all the pages. Again, this piece had white on the background, and I just covered it up with what is this stuff? Legal pad. And that is naturally aged, so it is photo safe. This edge right here, you can't really see it. There is a strip under there. It is the same as this border strip. I used it to adhere this crocheted lace to. And then I glued the paper down, making it look like it's sewn to the paper, but this way it gives it more stability. And again, you can cut the threads off if you wish. Some people really like the look of that, so I went ahead and left it there, knowing that it's easy to snip off. This, the front of this last signature, I thought needed something, so this is actually, it was just a torn piece I had. I actually have a little bit more of it. Came from an old book. I think it was the fly leaves, the first pages of the whatever book it was. And it was, you could see it was just coming to pieces. It's terrible. But I loved the look of it, so I kept it. And I'm glad I did, because I was able to use part of it in here, as well as a paper doily. This came from a piece of, gosh, I can't remember, it was a bigger doily or something that I snipped apart. And I have adhered that on there. This came from a scrapbook paper pack. This came from the Etsy printable. I had this ticket somebody gave to me in Happy Mail, and I have aged all of it so that it looks like it's been in here a while. More tea-dyed dot grid. This piece of scrapbook paper, I've showed it to you earlier in the book, but parts of it I thought was really cool because it had the music showing through. I thought that was really, really neat, especially since I did this with a music group in mind. Vintage Circus, but a music group too. This edge of this ledger paper, I adhered this. I think it's hem tape, I think is what they call it, but it looks like a lace. It's a lace, and I adhered it to a little piece of vintage paper and then glued it in here. More tea-dyed paper, excuse me. Tea-dyed music paper, piece of scrapbook paper, and I put onion skin on the back of that. There, you can see those stitches. This is a piece of paper, scrapbook paper, that was given to me in Happy Mail, and it's like it's almost like wallpaper samples. I got a bunch of them. This one was one, and here's another one. I had thought about using these in the journal and just didn't, but as you can see, the back is just stark white and doesn't fit with the theme of this. But I made this a pocket, and I just slipped this piece of green paper in here. I put steno paper on the back for journaling. This came from the Etsy printable, but I made this to where it is also a flip out. And this is steno paper that I put on the back of there, so it holds it shut. Ledger paper. And last page, all lights out. Not necessarily a circus thing. It is a quote from the song, but I figured since this was boy, my country came out of me then. I thought that since this was the last page, all lights out, quite appropriate. But boom, that's it. And I've already showed you that. Did I show you that? The envelope? This is the other pocket on the back cover. And I made this out of tea-dyed music paper. Aged it up so you can put that in, anything in there that you want to put in, and it just slips right in there. You can also remove it and put photos or whatever you want back here, memorabilia. If you are a Stray Kids fan and you purchase this, I am including one other little thing. This is a piece of scrapbook paper, and I've simply put in some photo pockets. It won't fit the bigger one, but it will fit these smaller ones. And so it'll hold four of them. Sorry, my voice broke. You could always take this and either slip it in the pocket, or you could adhere it to a page like that, and it would make it flip out. You can use some double-sided tape. You can use some permanent glue. The glue I like to use is this Scotch Create. Very good. It's photo safe. It's permanent. It's a good glue. So you could adhere it in any way, anywhere you want, or just stick it in a pocket, or not use it. That works too. So there is that. Also, if anybody purchases this from me, I am going to include this little packet of goodies. This was part of the printable I got from Etsy, and I didn't use it, so I thought it would make I made a little booklet to include some good things. There is a piece of the tea-dyed paper. These are on cardstock. This is just some of the printable I didn't use. You can always take these things and let's take this for example. You can take these, and let's say you were right here and you wanted extra space. You can get you some washi tape. Some wider washi tape and adhere it over this, and it makes an interesting flip out. You may have to trim the page some, but you could do it as a flip out anywhere you wanted to. Or you could just, stick it in extra. People do that as well. So there's that. There is these two. And then I have also included in here random bits of papers, cut-offs of the papers and stuff that I used, including some of the music paper, the brown paper, some ledger papers, steno papers, that kind of thing, for you to be able to use. Also, I have a bunch of cut-offs of the printables, and these are just on paper that you can use. This is stuff I didn't use. These are part of the set, and they're postcard, and I have went ahead and inked them. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. May have already used some of them in the journal because I did double print a few, but I have inked the backs, so gives it kind of an aged look. I prepared those. This little packet has some prepared and some not. These back here are just paper bits, and then some of the tags that I did not use. So they're just on paper. If you don't want to use them, you can just throw them away. These are from the printable, but they are prepared and ready to use anywhere you want to use. I've already inked this. This one would be cute glued on a page for journaling, I thought. This you could put in the beginning of the book somewhere. I didn't want to do it in case anybody didn't want it, but it's here if you want to use it. And then there's a couple more word snippets, touring the world and Big Top. So this will all come with the journal as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I have thoroughly loved making this journal. Thoroughly loved making this journal. And will actually hate to see it go. So if it doesn't sell, I have a journal to use. Because I have just literally had a ball making it. Put my heart and soul in this one. So anyway, that is the end of this flip through. May God bless you and keep you safe.